That music means it's time for another episode of the Stubborn German podcast. I'm Kevin Ostie, joined by the proprietor of the Stubborn German, Mr. Chris Ron.
How goes it?
It's going. And we're also joined by our producer, Mr. Jared Chasson.
It goes well.
And we have a very special guest, Miss Carrie Koester.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi, Carrie.
Hi. How are you guys doing?
Good. Thanks for coming on to our little show.
You're welcome. I'm so happy to be here.
Good.
We can tell. You've got a big smile and everything, man. We're all trying to pick that up. So this podcast originates from the Stubborn German Brewing Company here in beautiful Waterloo, Illinois. Beautiful, humid Waterloo, Illinois today.
It is a bit muggy.
Right.
Sure.
And before we get into all the fun and stories, we have a little thing on this show that Chris came up with called the German word of the day. You familiar with that?
Yes. Yes,
You
I am.
are?
I am. I am. I've been pondering
Okay.
this all morning in the
What's
field.
it gonna be?
Yeah, what's
She's
it going to be?
boning up
What's it
on
going
her
to be?
German.
Do you speak German?
No, I took like a semester of it in high
Oh,
school,
that's
so
far
not really.
more.
Oh,
You
that's way more than me.
Yeah. Wow.
So did you study up on all the different flower varieties in German?
No, I only know the Latin one, so it's like that's going to be just good enough.
Yeah,
there
we
you
could do
go.
the Latin word of the day.
No, we can't.
Okay.
Bad
All right.
enough that we do this in English for me. Man.
All right. So we're going to forego the Google translation because she doesn't know how to say this word.
Oh,
it's so good. So I'm just going to say
All
it.
right.
'cause
Confidence inspiring.
It'll be way better when I say it.
Yeah.
Okay. The German word of the day today is Schnapsidee. Schnapsidee.
City.
Schnapsy B or Schnapsy D?
Schnapsidee, almost like a CD, like a compact disc.
Schnapsidee.
Schnapsidee,
Okay, well,
but not two letters.
Not
It's
an
kinda
actual
spelled
compact
out.
disc?
It's
Okay.
not a compact disc.
so traditionally we let our guest go first.
Okay. All right.
Schnapsidee.
So I know, it always has to do a theme with the podcast.
You think, anyway.
Sometimes.
Well, that
Yes.
was Kevin's theory.
Which was wrong.
So, Schnapsidee. I think it's a fun trip.
A fun trip.
Okay.
All right, I like that.
All right. Jared?
Schnapsidee. I wish I knew what schnapps meant. It's just a drink in my house, but yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see, Schnapsidee. I'm gonna go the theme of the guest this time, since that sometimes works. Chris looks at me funny. I'm gonna say a flower petal, the petal of a flower.
Oh, that's
Flower
good.
petal.
Flower petal. Documented.
Nice.
Got it. Kevin.
All right. Well, because I'm
Flower petal.
I know it's not, but
No, it's not.
Chris responds to that sometimes.
I see
You
that,
call him
yeah.
flower petal. Because I did not see the spelling of this word, I'm going to assume that it could be some type of abbreviation as well. So I'm going to say a Schnapsidee is a compact disc about small, flavorful booze.
there you go. It's as good a guess as any.
So a CD of small, flavorful booze.
Right.
My God.
Like apple
tribute.
corn or,
Okay, apple corn, yeah.
good stuff.
Small flavor. Okay, got it.
All
I have tabulated the results, and I will get back to you at the end of the show.
Right. This is another one of those life lesson contests where nobody wins anything.
Right. Right.
Right on.
Perfect.
That's correct. All right.
Well, Carrie joins us as with many connections to the Ron family and this organization and different types of booze, if you will. But I'm gonna start with kind of your official title as being with the Barnside Flower Farm.
Yeah. So that happened about 2 years ago. First, actually, it's been longer than that. So we've been growing potted mums for about 7 years. And then I was also an agriculture education teacher for 12 years. And then we had 4 kids. And we decided after that fourth one, we're like, Carrie. My husband's like, we got to figure something out. Like, we can't be doing all this. You can't be doing all this running and traveling and still teaching and after school events and raise 4 kids. And I was completely in agreement. I was like, I was going crazy just as much as he was because we were dividing and conquering because we had 2 older ones, a middle one, and then that baby yet. So I decided to quit my job, and I don't like to sit still very well. And I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I grow mums, and they're fantastic, and a lot of people love them. And I was like, what if I could just get a little more income, more different seasons? And everybody asked me, they're like, well, why did you go down the cut flower path and not do a greenhouse? Because I managed greenhouses through all the schools that I taught at. And I was like, well, I said, I've done that. And a greenhouse is really expensive. It's super expensive. So it's like, what can I grow outside that I could still make a good income on? So then I was like, I'll do cut flowers. So because I found out about a peony farm that was down in Harrisburg, Illinois, and he's got 15. He's got 15 acres of peonies down there, and that's kind of how. Because I knew I had to get Aaron on board, my husband, because I was like, he's kind of my devil's advocate. So it's like, if I can answer all of his questions, we're good. So we went down there, and I said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have peonies, and we're going to have other cut flowers. And he's like, all right, we can do this. We went down there, come back. So that's what we decided to do. We're going to do cut flowers. So we weren't living on the farm. And all on this same path, I was like, this is all crazy. I just quit my job. I'm pregnant. And my dad's like, hey, you want to buy some land? And I was like, what? Dad. So it turned out to be fantastic. It was my great uncle's property. It was where my grandpa was raised. Chris's grandma was raised there as well. And we just feel completely honored that we get to live on that farm. And we're continuing the agriculture on that farm as well. It's just different. It went from, dairy cows to hogs and chickens to just grain. And now we're doing flowers. So that's kind of what we've been doing. So we've been supplying florists. We've been doing subscriptions. We've been doing drop-offs here at Summer German, the winery in Redbud, and a coffee shop in Smithen.
Yeah.
And we just been flourishing. And every year we're hoping we're going to be more efficient and grow more variety of flowers for our customers.
So that's fantastic and quite a bit to unpack.
It is. It is. We do a lot. We do a lot.
Well, I want to start with, for me, it's the obvious question for all of our male listeners.
Yeah.
Cut flowers as opposed to uncut flowers, or
like those are still in the ground.
Okay, so, I should know what.
So cut flowers just means that's exactly what you get from a florist. So nothing that's going to be in a bedding plant. So nothing like you're going to go to Home Depot. You're not going to go Steckmeyer's. You're not going to get something that you're going to plant in your yard or in a pot. So it's something that you're just going to enjoy for that time, for a great, awesome occasion, and then that's it.
Yeah.
So it's really just wholesaling straight to a florist, or for people that really just enjoy flowers, that's going to be on their table.
Okay. So what was the inspiration to grow mums? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So to grow mums. So it's been so long. So it's kind of contradictory. So, when you're a teacher, you always think like, gosh, I really wish I could make more money. So it's like, what can I do that's during that off season that I could just make a little bit more? And that's what I decided to do. It's like, I can grow mums. At that time we had this patch of land that was next to our house that was just grass. It was about a half acre. And I said, let's put some weed barrier out there and let's put some irrigation, and we're going to put some mums out there, and we'll just see how it goes. We lived on a busy county road. We'll put some signs up and see how it goes, and that's where we started. So at that time, the twins our oldest are twins. I think we're 6. So, that first week of June, we had character building week, and we potted mums.
Character building week, yeah, I love it.
And we would put them out. I would have them help me, and we would put them out in the field and put all the irrigation. We grew them all summer long. We sold them in the fall.
So is there something particular about the mum that it grows successfully here, or you just like the style of, is it easy, low maintenance?
It's easy, it's low maintenance, but it's also in our water here, especially where we live, we have high iron, and they love high iron water.
Really?
So, yeah. So
it's probably like the only thing in the world that likes iron,
yes,
right?
You are absolutely right. So especially when we even moved, it's even higher iron, so they're growing very well where we live.
That's amazing. I had no idea.
Even like for city water, when we grew them here at the high school, it's like you have to add iron to the irrigation water. So they would actually,
You just throw some nails in the water or something?
Yeah.
Some rust,
Yeah.
Well, that's fascinating. And you mentioned before that this obviously has grown into pretty profitable enterprise that has grown quite a bit. And you mentioned the subscription and the drop-off
Yes.
services. So
Yes.
what's that all about?
So in this, we have two different subscriptions. We had a spring one and a summer one. So what people could do is, it's kind of like Feathers Farms CSA. It's like a bouquet subscription, a bouquet club. So they would pay X amount of dollars, and they would get a bouquet every other week. So it was 5 bouquets every other week, and they would just be able to come here to Stubborn German, pick up their bouquet, be happy with flowers and beer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I've already seen a couple people
Yeah, they
reading
were-
through here, and
That's right.
they're. I think one is having a beer at the bar right now,
Right.
and we'll leave if she remembers. We'll
Yes.
leave with her bouquet.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
you brought some samples that are dynamite.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Thank
I
you
know,
very
they're
much.
really cool.
Yeah,
Thank
great
you.
color. They look great. Very
Yeah.
healthy.
Which one is the peony?
So peonies are only in season in early June, so there's
Wow,
not peonies.
I'm an idiot.
Yeah, so
That's
then
okay. That's
the
okay.
answer is none.
And actually, what's crazy is
I'll
that
edit
we
that
have a
out.
lot of peonies are a big
great.
investment. So because we won't get peonies for another 2 years because
really?
we planted them and they take three seasons
Wow.
for them
wow.
before we get a cut off of them.
It's like
yeah.
hops.
This is
Yeah. But then we'll be able to
joke.
cut for the next 30, 40 years off of them. So it's
All right.
yeah. See, we learn stuff here on this show.
Yeah.
I do anyway. Okay, so now you're on your ancestors' farm
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
Growing the flowers and doing the deal. And you mentioned that Chris's grandmother grew up there.
Yeah.
So let's
Yeah.
talk about that connection.
Yeah, so Carrie and I are second cousins.
Yeah.
Her grandpa and my grandma were brother and sister. And they had
Wow.
another brother, Uncle Henry, as everyone knew him. Well, I guess we did.
Yeah.
Probably other people. That,
I'm sure.
If he wasn't your uncle, you probably didn't call him
You probably
Uncle
just called him
Henry.
He was
Henry.
just
Probably
Henry.
just Henry.
Probably
Yeah.
just Henry.
Maybe he was Hank.
He was Hank to some people, yeah. But Uncle Henry was he passed away a couple years back, but he was a larger than life figure in my book. He was almost like a cartoon character, like especially as a kid. So he's a bachelor his whole life, no kids, no wife. He loved the farm. He loved doing what he did. But when I knew him, he was an old man, and my dad would work there on the farm and then help him out. And my dad was one of his only helpers that was constantly there and checking on him and helping him out and doing whatever needed to be done. He was a welder, so he was pretty handy out there. But so as a young kid, we would go there. We would hunt out on the land. We'd fish in the pond, and we'd ride around 4-wheelers. And I had snowmobiles, so when it would snow, I'd
This
be
guy,
there.
man.
Yeah.
Oh, these were ancient snowmobiles.
Okay, it don't matter.
But of course, I stored them out there, and because it's my farm, so I put my stuff out there.
Sure, yeah. That's how it goes when you have a farm.
Yeah, right. He probably hated that, but looking back, but yeah, I'll never forget riding around the snowmobile in the snow, and I was just kind of going through the yard, and he comes and gets me, and he must have been in a mood, and he goes, "Christopher, that is no road." he had a very thick German accent.
Nice.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think his grandparents came over on the boat? Was it his
let me see.
grandparents
Yes.
or great-grandparents?
Yes.
His
No, I
grandparents.
think it's his grandparents. Yeah.
Right.
So like even my grandpa, they
Grandma,
all
they
had
had
thick German accents.
Yeah, but especially Uncle Henry
Uncle
because
Henry,
he was
yes.
never really like domesticated. He
No, you're right. Yes,
You know what I mean?
yes.
Like, he never
Yes.
had the
Be
wife.
outside.
Yeah.
And-
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because even as we gone through this whole build process and moving there, you talk to people about the the electric company and and they'll be like, oh gosh, like this is all new. Like the Henry, he never wanted any of this, So it's like it was all had to be redone, and a lot of infrastructure had to change out there.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
So how long did he live on that property and that farm?
I mean his
entire life.
entire life,
And
except
besides-
maybe probably the first few years,
Yes.
weren't they in Foster Pond?
Right,
I
yes,
believe.
you're right, yes,
So
yes.
then
So
they moved
there
there
as a kid.
Yes.
So at a very young age, I'd say probably before he was 15, 10, something
sure,
like
yeah.
that.
I
A
would-
kid,
yes.
and then moved there.
What decade do we think we're talking about?
He died when he was 90-ish. So
He was like,
you
I
do
think
the math,
so.
Kevin.
I don't know. I never met the
30s?
guy.
So I would say like the 20s.
20s and 30s.
I would say
20s,
20s and
30s,
30s,
yeah.
yeah. So it is Depression era.
Sure, sure.
They were all saving everything. Uncle Henry was a big saver.
Yeah,
Sure.
huge
Yeah.
gardens that I've
Yes.
heard about out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
And at that point, a lot of rural residents and farms especially didn't have all of the services.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Outhouses and basic electric if they had it and all that. And it's kind of neat that it sounds like he stayed kind of true to that. It worked for him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And indoor plumbing, so that was a plus.
Yeah.
For him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Fancy.
It was fancy.
So you, how long have you lived there now?
So we really just moved in. We've owned the property for 2 years in September, and we moved into our house right before Easter this past year.
Okay, and like you're saying, you did some tune-ups on the place.
Yeah.
Some tune-ups, it looks way different, but it's for the better. I mean, it really is.
So my dad was like, Carrie, that is the house. My dad is 60, and he's like, that is the exact house as it was as when I was a kid. Like, there's not been one improvement in 60 years.
Oh, nothing.
So don't feel bad if you have to get rid of it, because there were snakes in the basement, there was raccoons upstairs, so it's like,
They're friendly though.
They're
friendly.
Well, they're 15th generation in the house.
Yeah.
They all spoke German.
Yeah. So
Real snowmobiles.
thank heavens my brother is an operator, and he's got all that equipment. So
great!
we couldn't be where we are without my brother Alan. So, or any of my family members. So, because it's kind of like the Schaefer, because that's where the original name is. It's like they're all good with their hands. They all have a good cause on it.
Workers.
Yeah.
Well, people don't realize until you get into a project like that, or you grew up on a farm, how much physical work it takes.
Yes.
Yeah, because you're dealing with, mass quantities of stuff if you're moving earth around and changing the landscape and then, of course, the structure itself.
Right.
So you spent a year and change doing the upgrades and
so building a house.
Yeah. So we started with 13 buildings.
Wow.
And we're down to 5.
13? Is that really what was?
Yeah, there was 13.
That doesn't even. Wow.
There was so many little hog huts and stuff in the woods and stuff, and so we just need to clean it up. It just need to be cleaned up. So because when we bought the place, we could have probably started pigs the next day.
It was ready to go.
They had everything there. Yeah, I know.
You ruined it.
Look what you did.
So we took out what we could. We used old barn beams in our house and on our front porch. The old doors in the old house are closet doors in our house now and stuff. So we used what we could in our new house just to keep the spirit alive.
Yeah,
sure.
And I can tell you that from going in there and looking at that looks so cool. And just you look up and see that big beam in the middle of the living room area, and it's so cool. I love it. Obviously, I have a personal connection with it, but anybody would wow, that came from the barn that used to be right here.
That is really, really cool.
Yes.
To keep that heritage.
Yep.
Man, so what's it like living in the new place? I'm sure the kids are excited about it. They got more room to run.
Oh yeah, they love it. We had a little kid raiser, so they're constantly going everywhere, and they're also they just love it. It feels like home already. We had to get a dog. We got a dog about a week after we moved there, which she's really good. She's a good pup, but she's a puppy. She's tearing up everything, but that's okay. We're working through that. But when sometimes when you're kind of in a new place and it's dark outside and you're working in the field, like it doesn't feel weird. It feels like this is what's meant to be. This is where we're supposed to be. This is where our family's supposed to be. This is where I'm supposed to be raising my kids. And they love it. So Blake is really excited because he wants to get chickens. So maybe this spring we're going to have to get some chickens. We had some at the old house, so that's going to be his thing, I guess.
You just have to rebuild the old chicken house.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, you got to take the beam out of the living room.
Yeah. It's actually the greenhouse right now. Our old chicken coop, we converted to a greenhouse, so yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's right. You reused that. Was there another building that you reused?
There is a building across the way, so that's really kind of just storage right now.
Okay.
So because we're not exactly sure what we're going to do with it, but it's a good building. It's right across the way, so we'll see what the plans for that yet.
That's definitely a good problem to have. You know, we got an extra space that, you know.
Well, it was a building that wasn't falling down. And
So still usable. And,
Yeah, a few of those were pretty well built and pretty solid. And
So
cinder block.
Really, apparently we have the best smokehouse in the whole county.
You do. Yeah.
Whole county.
I've had a few batches of my summer sausage go through there. And,
so we'll see. Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
And that was
you
my.
didn't bring it here, huh?
Well, I didn't think of it. I brought whiskey instead.
Well, that works too.
Yeah.
When you were doing the renovations, did you guys find anything that was really cool? That was historic.
I have a shelf in my kitchen, and I just kind of, when that shelf was put there, I just started adding stuff. So it's old license plates, and it's a old 7-Up bottle. That's the one, the taller ones. I think it's like a liter. I'm pretty sure it's filled with wine. I think it's filled with old wine because all the Schaefers they all made something, it seemed like.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's filled with wine in there.
Or it's 7-Up that turned to wine over the years.
Yeah, old tools I've seen.
Didn't you say you found? Did you find like $20 in one of Uncle Henry's coats or something?
Yes,
or what was the deal with that?
So that was funny. It was the day that we were going to tear down the house, and I just had this gut feeling, like, oh my gosh, I feel like there's still something in this house that we're supposed to find. It's like, okay. So I'm like, Aaron's like, well, do you want to tear down some of these walls? Or you want to, and I said, yeah, let's just do that. Just let's just say that we found everything that we were supposed to find.
Sure, yeah.
Well, we went through the whole office and stuff that just had old papers that we'd gone through, and finally we found $20 that was wedged between a thing that I guess Uncle Henry forgot that he had $20. So Uncle Henry bought pizza for us that day.
Nice.
So, but we never really found anything in the walls. But I guess I felt better. That's okay, we double checked.
That was the last $20.
That was the last everything.
And by the way, he knew that was there.
He did. He did. He did know that was there.
Someday someone's going to have to tear this dump down.
Well, you hear these stories about people that go into older estates and taped to the back of a drawer is $100 bill and all this stuff, because especially if it was around in that era where there was a big distrust of the banks and you had to hide your stash.
Right.
So it's interesting that I'm sure you found stuff.
Yeah. We found old manuals for different tractors and the things that he had and different equipment that he had over the years. So that was kind of cool. I still saved some of those. So it's like,
sweet.
I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Oh, and I found all their Army gear. So that's still pretty cool. I haven't done anything with it yet, so it's still sitting there. It's because it's a little overwhelming. So it's his official suit, his hats. I think it's even my Uncle Max's stuff is in there too. So it's that's my winter project to go through that stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
So did you know when you were growing up on Uncle Henry's farm, avoiding Chris's snowmobiles, that the two of you would start your own businesses someday and be kind of...
No. It's kind of crazy because we always had the big Schaefer family reunion, and Chris would come sometimes with his family and stuff, but we never really connected till we started working at Burger King together in high school, which is kind of crazy.
Burger King, bringing people together.
Reunites all family members.
Having it your way.
And Tammy and I have been friends all through high school. We're the same age, so it's just all meant to be.
That's really cool. And I guess at some point you've exerted a little influence on young impressionable Chris here. Did I understand this correctly? You introduced him to bourbon, is that right?
No, my husband has. My husband.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Aaron's fault. So
it is completely his fault. It is completely his fault.
Well, God bless him.
But I do like to travel. So, but I like to get Tammy to travel. So I kind of got a little.
So this sounds like it was a combination of both. So what was the story?
Well, so I guess we'll get together and just hang out on the kitchen table and drink beers while the kids run around and stuff. We do that. We still do that fairly often. And I guess one of those times we decided we all just needed to get out of here, needed a vacation, just a quick getaway. We did a long weekend of decided to go to the Bourbon Trail. What's somewhere we can drop the kids off for a couple nights and only have a 4 or 5 hour drive, whatever, and be where we are. We don't want to go too far. And we decided to do that. Well, Aaron was already, he was Mr. Jack and Coke by then.
Yes.
And that's all he would drink. And I was Mr. Beer only. And I, try to give him as much trouble as possible.
Mr. Beer.
I was Mr. Beer,
Yeah.
And so yeah, we decided to do this, and you know, I wasn't against whiskey by any means, but I wasn't really. It wasn't in my wheel. It wasn't in my you know,
Your liquor cabinet,
not,
if you will.
not
You're
even-
like, it's a
not even
weekend
on my
away.
radar.
It's alcohol. It's going to be a good time.
Yes, yeah. Go in with an open mind. Maybe I'll like whiskey after this.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, yeah.
so we book a few tours, and the first one was Wild Turkey, and I don't know if I told the story on this podcast yet or not, but anyway, we'll do it again.
I wasn't paying attention if you did.
So yeah, Carrie and Aaron and Tammy and I go to Wild Turkey as our very first distillery tour. I think like you had already been to like Jack Daniel's on a
Yeah,
previous thing,
yeah.
and so had we at some
Right.
other time. But you know, we really didn't care. I didn't really care about whiskey at that point.
Right.
This was like, okay, we're gonna like get into bourbon, you know. So we go to Wild Turkey, and this is before they have their. Right now, they have this really nice state of the art visitor center. It's beautiful, has these great views. Well, before they had that, they had this little house, somebody's old house across the street that happened to be on property. This little yellow house, probably less than 1,000 square feet. I would say
It was
I mean,
super small.
it's tiny, and they
Yeah.
had T-shirts for sale and a small little selection of some bottles. And I think at that point they probably just had like regular Wild Turkey for sale.
Uh-huh.
I think they had Rare Breed, and
Yeah.
they had like a Russell's Reserve or two.
Something, yes.
But
yes.
this is before like bourbon brands had like 10 or 12 different offerings. They only had 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Right.
So and they had the honey, right? That was
yeah, that was the big one.
Yeah.
That was the big new one.
So we go in there. We have the first tour of the day, and it was 10 o'clock.
Oh, we were the first one. We were waiting.
Yeah, we were waiting for
Before
them
the
to
open-
unlock
to even
the
open
door.
up. Yeah.
Very first
Yes.
and first.
Let us in. We come in and
Yeah.
hey, we're here for the tour. Okay, cool. Wait here. We'll get going in a little bit. And they're all laid back country folk. You know, got the Kentucky twang going, and all of a sudden the door opens and this guy comes in, old man, and he goes. Or the ladies go, folks, you are in for a treat. Mr. Jimmy Russell is here. And I'm like, Jimmy Russell, I know that name. And I'm like, that's the guy that has his name on the street sign outside. We had to drive in on Jimmy Russell Way.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
Like,
Right.
he's the old guy that does wild. He's Wild Turkey. So like, well, it's just us in there and Jimmy Russell and these 2 tour guides. So I go up there as a total idiot, know nothing about bourbon. I'm like, hi, Mr. Russell. What's your favorite bourbon? Like, what do you ask?
Well, yeah.
I guess Wild Turkey.
Yeah,
Right.
there you go.
Oh, all right. So
Yeah, you have shared that story, and it's
Oh, that's right,
It's
yeah.
funny. It's a great one.
yeah, so I asked him what I should buy, and he's like, I drink a lot of Russell's Reserve. Obviously, it's his reserve.
Yeah.
And he said he really liked Rare Breed a lot, so I bought the Rare Breed, and then he autographed my bottle, and they put a private label on it. So there, I brought it in.
Oh yeah, there you go.
If
You
you're-
see the autograph on the
Yeah.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is.
It says
And,
from the private stock
from the-
of Chris Ron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
April 13th, 2013.
Wow.
So,
And
That's
there's still
the origins of all this.
35% left in the bottle.
oh, dude, this bottle has been drank and refilled probably 6 times.
That makes more sense.
Which is what you should do if you like a particular bottle or a piece. It's just a piece of glass.
I know.
Sure.
Drink the contents and refill it with whatever you want.
There you
I,
go.
I keep putting Rare Breed in here, so I always because I love Rare Breed anyway. So, but that's my first bottle of bourbon I ever bought.
And that's something that Uncle Henry would have done.
Oh, totally.
Right?
No.
Refill the bottles for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
He would have made it himself.
Yeah, he's
Well, that too.
he's not
but I
buying
mean,
that.
He's not throwing anything away.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
No, he drank the root beer.
That's right.
Oh, there you go.
So 2013 is
Yes.
your first bottle of bourbon that you ever bought. And look at you now.
I know.
How many hundreds of
I've
bottles?
grown so big.
So I was,
Yeah.
an anecdote, I was at a different establishment. I think we can say it. I was at the Vintage Wine Bar recently. And a friend of a friend from out of town was in there. And they commented on their bourbon selection. Like, oh, wow, they got a good bourbon selection here.
They do have a good-
and I just, well, they
No,
do.
They do.
They do.
Yeah.
But
bought
I was
bourbon
like,
there, yeah.
oh, you have no idea. You guys need to go down the street to Stubborn. And so we did about an hour later. And
Nice.
we all had some bourbon here. And he was just in awe of your bourbon collection.
That's
So
cool.
it was cool.
They
Awesome.
do have a good selection over
Yeah.
there. It's not quite maybe the size and
Right.
and depth, but if you
But it's quality stuff.
for sure
Yeah.
you can get your fix over there for sure.
For sure.
Yep.
So thanks to Aaron, we have all these different whiskeys.
That's
we,
right.
We all,
That's
we all
right.
have to
Aaron.
thank
I
you.
just
Yeah.
feel
Everyone
like,
should thank
that
Aaron.
first year I felt like little bootleggers coming home as much as we bought, you know.
Did you have your van then?
We did.
Oh
and-
my gosh!
yeah.
Tell the story about the snow and go.
Oh my god! So being bootleggers, and we had our luggage yet, and it was just the four of us. We had to put everything in the stow and go. It was completely full. It was completely full. Most of everything in the back, because it was like they were just like, oh my gosh. But now they've grown older and they've grown wiser.
So wise.
So they only buy a couple, but probably still the same values what they were buying that first year. Like they're still spending the amount of money. So it's only on a few bottles.
So do the four of you still go down and?
Yeah,
we're due. It's been a little bit.
Has been.
Yeah.
But we've done, I don't know, four times, five times
Nice.
probably. Yeah.
Because at first, we had to do the bourbon trail and make
Right.
sure we went to every location.
Yeah, they stamp your passport, and then if you get them all stamped, they give you a
Right.
T-shirt. So the first
We
trip,
got to get the shirt.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, first trip we only did like half.
Right. And then we went to
Do
Lexington.
they give you like a half
Yeah.
shirt?
No,
Thank God.
right?
I don't need that.
Nobody does.
So, Carrie, were you on board with the whole bourbon bootlegging, purchasing enthusiasm level? Because you hear it, every once in a while, somebody, especially a husband and wife, the husband has gone off the rails and is buying insanely expensive bourbon and collecting it, and the wife's like, oh, yeah, so that's the first 2 years of our kids' education. Yeah.
Well, there's a little give and take. I'm more about, like, if you're going to do this, you need to find a home for it in our house. So at our old house, I said, then we're going to have to finish the basement. You're going to have to build a bar.
Nice.
So I got my part. I got the basement finished, and he got a bar to put all his bourbon.
That's cool.
So it was okay. So, and he's pretty responsible with it, so it's fine.
Aaron's got a good collection. If the Koesters invite you over, go, because they've got some nice quality bottles down there.
Nice.
Yeah, but now we don't have a bar right now since we're the new house.
I'm
so
sure
we'll
they're
have
in boxes, though, right?
They are. Yeah, they're in boxes downstairs.
They're around.
Well, I'm envisioning you guys are going to reclaim some more wood and build another bar on the farm somewhere.
for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
We kind of have a bar outside a little bit, so like at our market area and stuff, but for the off season only.
Well, you have a market area, so that's something too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so go into that. So you have a few days where you have people come out and buy mums in the fall?
Yeah, so we'll be open September 18th. So we'll be open every weekend until we're out. Last year was phenomenal. We were only open for 3 weekends, and that was it.
Wow.
So we have about 1,200 mums growing out there this year.
Holy mums!
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's a destination. It's a nice weekend thing to do. We bring the kids, and everybody goes out there and.
Yeah, so we're hoping in the future we're going to grow a little bit and just invite some other farms to be able to sell their product there too. Maybe some like goat soap and lotions and maybe some honey and just kind of see how it is. But I really want to just keep it where it's like local produced items that's going to be sold there at the farm.
My mind is going to that you're going to have a petting zoo in your future.
If it was up to my kids, yes.
My wife and I lived in Southern California, and there's a little town called Apple Valley, I guess, and they have in the fall, 5 or 6 different old farms that are converted, and one's the apple orchard, and another one is the soaps and candles, and another one is a petting zoo.
Nice.
And it's a thing. It's fun.
Yeah. So I just need to find that balance because we want to be open whenever we have peonies, allow people to go through it because when you have a peony field, you only can cut a third of the flowers. So we want to allow people just to walk through there, take pictures, rent it out for photographers during specific times. But then we kind of want to close down our farm during the summertime, let our kids just be kids and not have to worry about everything being pristine.
Right.
And then we'll open it up again in the fall for mom season.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So we obviously know the connection between you and Chris
Yeah.
and the farm and Stubborn. When did you guys start, or who came up with the idea of delivering to the brewery kind of as a drop-off point?
It was probably one of the nights that we're sitting around the kitchen table. Everybody's had their beverage, and Tammy is always about supporting other small businesses, and she's like, "Hey, why aren't you just deliver flowers to the brewery?" And I'm like, "Okay, we'll do that."
We can do that.
That's kind of a no-brainer.
We can do that. I already had some connections with the winery in Redbud, so it's like because we were only 5 minutes from Redbud, so it's like that's great to have 2 options for our customers. But even still, we have a lot of customers that live in Redbud that love driving up here just to pick up here. It gives them a reason to come and drink beer here.
Yeah,
so
sure.
it's been really nice.
Love it.
That is really cool, and I think it's really neat that that your space allows for that to happen. And like you
Yeah.
said before, with Feathers Farm and their produce and the flowers, and
We make room. I mean,
Yeah.
well, this is easy. It's a couple buckets, but
Yeah.
Feathers Farm is a lot. And
They
some
do.
days when we have stuff going, like when Feathers Farm rolls up with the whole
Right.
50 people worth of produce bags, it's like, oh, where are we going to put? We're trying to brew beer. Where are we going to put?
Right.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. You make it work because
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
you know that their business is relying on it, and other people now are also relying on it and want their food, want their flowers. So
yep.
I make sure you at least sell a couple beers from somebody picking up their Feathers Farm order. So
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
you grab them and say, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So
Can't leave yet.
I think we mentioned it, but maybe we didn't. So how would somebody go about doing that? What day do you drop off, and how do they?
Oh, sure. So even if you're not a subscriber, you can always order a bouquet. So you can go to www.barnsideflowerfarm.com, and on there under shop, you can just order a bouquet of of in-season flowers. Oh, and they'll be dropped here on Friday, and then you can pick up from 3 to 10 during their open hours.
Cool.
And
That's
that
really
will happen all the way till frost. So, which is kind
Nice.
of crazy. So, middle of October, we'll have flowers till.
Fridays, good reason
Yeah.
to come out.
That's
For
right.
sure.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, and you can come home with flowers.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So
You
even
can
if
drink 18 beers at the bar and then have flowers to take home.
yeah,
Where
that's
have you
right.
been?
That's right. Yeah, you just have to plan.
Just picking up flowers
Getting
for
you
you.
these?
There was a line.
Where did you pick them up? The bar? Yes.
Exactly.
And a lot of comedy is funny because it's kind of true. And here we are on Friday afternoon having a drink, going, too cool. Barn, once again, the website.
BarnsideFlowerFarm.com.
BarnsideFlowerFarm.com. So everybody needs to check that out. I know I certainly will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're also on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, very cool. Well, Carrie, this was very kind of you to join us. This is a lot of fun.
you.
Again, very cool. One more local business that
Yeah.
has an unexpected connection, with this place and the community. And I just love the fact that you're, renovating the old homestead and keeping that
Thank
going,
you.
and integrating the elements into the future and raising the kids out there. That's
Yeah.
great for everyone.
Yep. That's awesome.
But I know Chris's ears are twitching, which means it's time to
Oh, yes.
reveal the German word of the day that we all got wrong.
You almost forgot.
Oh, yeah,
No,
I almost
here we
did.
go.
No
Here we go.
forgetting.
All right, the word of the day was schnapsity. Schnapsity.
Yeah, right.
Let's see.
I'm pretty sure it is a schnapps compact disc.
I
A
kind of thought
schnapps
so.
compact disc. Yeah, so Kevin said a schnapps compact disc, or he says a CD of. I wrote a CD of small flavorful booze. Why did I write that? Is that what you said?
Probably.
so, yeah.
Okay,
I
great.
think so.
I don't
I think
know.
so.
Well, I think schnapps
We might have
is
to check the tape.
little bottles.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
Jared said a flower petal. Very nice. And Carrie says a fun trip.
Fun trip.
But a Schnapsidi, I'll just read the definition. This is a quirky German word that means a schnapps idea or booze idea. It's often used to indicate an idea that is so incredibly stupid, unwise, or pointless that its originator must be slightly or very inebriated.
There you go.
Okay.
Kind of
That's a
like the
schnapsidi.
German word of the day.
Okay.
Kind of like sometimes this whole program.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, that was
Yeah.
a schnapps idea. Yeah. I'm with you now. I'm actually going to use that.
yeah, you
Yeah.
should.
Yeah.
Schnapsity.
Schnapsidi.
Very cool. Well, again, Carrie, thanks for joining us here in the Stubborn German podcast. If you like this kind of stuff, there's a subscribe button you can push, or you can go to the Facebook page for Stubborn German Brewing Company. Tammy does a great job of also sharing this podcast there. And if you have any comments or feedback, you can leave them right there. I know Jared likes to answer questions.
Definitely.
Chris doesn't.
No, not really.
And for all of us here, Jared, Chris, and Carrie this time, we're going to close with a toast. So 1, 2, 3. Prost!
Give me one more second.
Yep.
1,
No.
second.
One more second than that. All right, screw it. I'm ready.
We should have done an 8 a.m. Podcast on back to school day. That would have been fun.
Yeah, that would have
For
been
some
fun.
day drinking.
We still can.
Yeah, we can do it. I mean, they have another day of school coming up.
My kids don't start till Tuesday.
There you go.
That's right.
And nobody knows what time this is
That's true.
through the magic of whatever this is.
Right.